Isn't it in the bundles or the collections?
Yeah.
Where's the rainbow shit? Where's the rainbow? I don't know.
It's
oh, look.
right in the middle, right next to Alien.
Ew. Ew, who is this? What is the Wame suit? Wame suit.
Oh, that's Oh My.
What the fuck?
It doesn't look anything like Oh My.
What the fuck? Wait, what else do they have? Community? Okay.
Dude, Community?
Damn, there's so much skins now. What the oh,
Dude, what's
Stranger
the Community
Things.
one though, bro?
I got Stranger Things, Resident Evil, Silent Hill.
Right.
What is this? What the fuck is that? Bro, what is this? Chris, look, what is this shit? Go to the very top and go to Forgotten Myth. Michael, look!
Is that the Hunters?
Yeah, this is. It's the top right. Go to the very top and go to the right. It's called Forgotten. No, Michael! Look! No, I'm not. These are Michael. These are Michael Urixos. I'm not gonna spend them.
Wait, the bio one? Is that the one you're talking about?
Look at this. Look at the Huntress. You wanna hear it?
I know it's so crazy, bro.
This is, bro. It's like on AIDS.
Okay, so which one are you talking about?
Hold on.
God, which one are you talking about?
Go to the very top and go to the right. You sure you want to get it?
What's it called?
It's all your Urixos.
What's it called?
I'm not playing it. That's your Michael. Bro, it's Forgotten Myth. Forgotten Myth.
Oh, okay. I see.
No?
I don't like it.
Okay.
What the fuck is this?
What is?
Wait, what?
She's kind of bad.
I don't. Ew.
Slipknot? They got Slipknot in this? What?
Yeah.
Yo, I kind of like this mask right here. What else do they got? Valentine's.
Oh, they updated the game.
Yeah, they did. Hollow. Is that? Bro, I thought that was Octane from Apex. What the fuck?
What?
Look, Chris, look, you see my screen? I thought that was Octane.
Yo, what the fuck is that one? What the fuck is
Alright.
that?
Alright, ready up.
Dude, no. Go back.
Oh, look at the...
It's right next to Alien.
What?
Look at Cursed Cats. It's right next to Alien almost. All the way to the right. On the Alien level.
I
Ew.
don't like this.
Bro, what the frick is that?
They look cute. Stray
Look at
cat.
the one all the way to the right, the missing
That looks
one.
kind of cool.
What the frick? It does look
This is
cool.
for the Trickster. This is Hillbilly. The clown. Oh, this is a clown. What the fuck? What the?
It's
Oh yeah, let me
furry.
invite you. Hold on, let me invite this dude real quick.
11 minutes.
Oh, that's actually super cool.
Bro, why? I don't know why this shit has
Dude,
to be a
go
limited
to
time
the Saw
event
one
though.
And look at the first killer.
Bro.
Dude, that one's actually super cool. They're wearing like the reverse bear trap as like a crown on their head.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
That's been there for a while. Okay. What is
cool.
this? Oh, are these new? This looks new. I haven't seen this. Damn, they added a lot of new skins to this shit. What the fuck? Death Slinger? Oh, so this is how he looks like underneath without the head. Alright. Is he in the lobby? Oh yeah, he is. I already up.
Okay, give me a sec.
Wait, this is Chaos Shuffle, right?
This is Chaos Shuffle, yeah.
Okay, good.
I want to go against the new killer, bro.
My perks.
Huh?
I can't.
Because it's random. It's gonna give you random perks.
Are you with us?
Ready up.
Oh wait, is that?
Yes, go ready up.
That's my charger.
Dun 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 dun. What is?
That's my charger.
Wait, what are her perks?
Your charger?
What the holy shit? Yo, hold on. Okay. Oh yeah, Chris, look at my screen. You see this? It's first person FOV. It's a beta. I don't know when.
Wait,
When
bro
can
bought
you?
the freaking DLC to Stranger Things.
No,
Ryan.
I think my account is somehow my account somehow progressed to his account as well. So he has like that doesn't even make sense though, but I guess
That's crazy.
yeah. Well, who is Alan Wake? Dante, do you know who that is?
Nope.
Of course you don't.
Yep. Nope. I don't care. Don't care.
Put
Still don't care.
you should put an item on. Leave a med kit on. You want to see my titties? Look at my titties.
Uh-huh.
Shut up.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. I heard the Black Ops 6 this year is gonna come out in like October.
Black Ops 6, you mean Go 4?
No, Black Ops it's 6 though. Like that's the number. I don't know.
Wait, we've had 6 already?
People are
1,
calling
2,
it
3,
6.
4.
Because Cold War isn't a number,
Okay,
but it's
no,
just
I see.
Cold
No,
War.
no, I'm making sure.
Yeah, Cold War was 5 and
Wait,
this one's
this
gonna
clown.
Bro, there better be zombies
okay.
mode, bro. I'm gonna lose my crap if there's not.
be zombies.
And it
Oh
better
yeah,
be
yeah, there
round-based,
is.
too.
It's always zombies on Black Ops.
I know, but it better be round based as well.
It probably is. It probably is gonna be. And then I know the BO2 shit's gonna come out next year.
Oh, bro, I'm hyped for that.
All right. Michael said it's the clown. This guy has no mither. That's actually tough. Bro's one up the whole time.
Oh, crap.
Wait, what are my perks?
Bro, they freaking found me.
What? Oh wait,
Ew.
what are my perks, bro? That guy's one tap. I feel bad for him. He has no mither with, and he can't even choose his own perk. I'll go get him. He's coming our way down too. He's coming your way. Never mind, he's not going your way no more. What the fuck? He has like an Alfie for him. Alright, I got our teammate. I'm gonna run away. What's in here? I said, better late than never, better late than never. It's a flashlight. The fuck? Bro, this dude has no mither. That's actually tough. Nigga can't even choose his own perk. I said, man. Oh, Michael's getting chased right now. Damn. Yeah, we're not winning a single game, Dante. I hope you know that. Because Michael's not really that good.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm chill right now. Right now, I'm in like my little happy mood. Because like this is a little bit new to me. But sooner or later, this game's gonna get me to rage.
Oh,
I'm gonna go get Michael. Bro, what? This shit is blocked.
Bro, I want to do the thing that we were doing, like, all 4 of us. I forgot what it's called.
What, the fucking...
No, weather shit.
Does he see me?
We always like,
Can you pick him up, bro?
Really?
Oh, the mother.
we always like pick their toes up. We still can do anything. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I want to do that today.
Can you go get the guy on the hook? I have to heal Michael.
Yeah, give me a sec.
Bro wants to get healed. Bro, stop moving! Oh shit. What the fuck? Oh! Oh! Finish the heal! What the fuck? What the fuck? Oh my god. Oh my god, run.
Oh wait, I forgot. There's no mither. I was just trying to hear a dude that had legit no mither, bro.
I'm gonna pre-drop this pellet. I don't give a fuck. It's not even here.
Let's go.
It's not even here.
This gem done, bro.
Okay, he left me, bruh. I'm gonna go to this other gen.
There's a generator.
Yeah, nigga, where do you think I was going? I'm gonna kill myself. How long does your shit have?
4 minutes.
Already? That shit went fast this game, what the hell?
I told you it's like 2 games.
I said that before. I said 2, 1.5. So I'll be happy. Okay, Michael's in a chase. You think Michael's goated at 360s?
I don't really know how to do this.
Yes, I'm so rusty on this game, bro. I'm at Dante. I'm at the gen that's like next to Killer Site.
Where's that?
Oh, he's about to kill the dude with no mither. That guy, I feel bad for him. What the fuck? Nicholas one-tapped the whole game. That's so bad. I have Soul Survivor, a terrible perk, and I don't even know, a hearing perk. I have a fucking selfish perk on right now. I said, better late than never, better late than
Run,
never.
run, Ryan, run.
Where are you coming from? Oh my gosh. Hold on. I'm gonna go get her. Oh shit. I was gonna go get him. Well, yo, Michael healed him already. Where is he? Oh, there he is. Did he even see us?
And right here.
I need to run back to this gen, bruh. What the fuck?
What?
I'm exposed. No! No, no, no!
Oh, I was gonna go to you.
What the fuck?
No! I'm pre-dropping. Wait up.
Don't.
Oh, no! No!
Can you even make it?
No! Yeah, I should have pre-dropped, bro. Why do I listen to this dumbass nigga? Fuck. I mean, actually, I think I could have made that, though.
You could have if you didn't.
I think if I was a little bit more tighter on the turn, I probably would have made it. I think I got hooked.
We'll get you.
My thing finished.
What is the perk that he has? Or just started up them right now. I'm gonna end this shirt, play.
No, I'm
Marco's
still
coming to
blocked.
get you.
So it's on.
Yeah, this is what is it? What the fuck is this? Auras of unopened chests? That's so ass.
Wiretap.
That's a okay, but it's
Okay.
Michael's getting me. He's
gosh.
trading hooks with me. Yes! I'm sorry. Nigga, how the fuck? He's gonna automatic. Where? Dante, I think you wanna run. You might wanna run, Dante. Is he coming my way? Yeah, he's fucking gay if he comes over here. Dante, are you still there? No.
Heal
Stop.
yourself.
I don't have. I already ran out of my med
Heal
kids.
yourself. Is he came in the stream?
No, I don't know. Nigga. You're exposed! Shut up. Oh my god, no!
Run!
He's on Michael's set, bro. I didn't get hooked from Michael. I gotta get hooked from his... No, Michael, drop the phone! Bro, Michael didn't come to me, bro.
Can you even make that?
Yeah.
Oh, Dante,
Where are you at?
do a gen, you fucking retard.
Well, I can't because they keep going to the same gen.
No, it's because he was already going around the corner. I thought I was gonna beat him to it. Yo, get Michael. Someone get Michael. Oh, wait, you guys aren't even near us. Yo, Michael's on his death. This nigga's crawling. This nigga just trying to crawl away. What the fuck? Look at him. He's like, help me. Please. What the fuck? Bro. I need to go get him, bro. This is kind of, our teammate's getting me. Our teammate's getting me. This is bad.
Dang.
No, why did you fall? Oh, yo.
Dude, to jump behind you, bro. You
No,
have to.
I'm just gonna. No, I gotta get Michael. He's gonna get mad at me.
What the fuck?
He's gonna be
It's
like,
a
what?
slave.
Oh, let me just touch this. Why do I have
It's
to?
gonna
You have to
expose
wait
you.
5
It's gonna
seconds.
expose you.
It doesn't matter, bro.
Oh, drop.
Bro. Come here, Michael. There's no way he left you. Did he come? Is he coming to me?
This thing's gonna bleed out. Oh, wait. You just hear his dumbass moaning.
Or did he leave you, Dante?
Oh yeah, he left me.
What?
Much aura.
Yo.
The aura is coming inside me.
Do you hear yourself right now?
Aura is all over.
Yo, he's right there.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Dante, you're losing all your aura if you get knocked right here.
Yeah, Dante. Yeah, you lose like 100% of all your aura. Dante, you lose 1,000 aura. Oh, you just lost 1,000 aura.
Yeah, like you can be talking. You don't even have a game downloaded. You guys had to do or
Yes, I do.
Shut the fuck up.
Yes, I do. It's downloaded.
No, it's not. Then why don't you want it? Then why don't you want it? Yeah, that's what I
Because
thought.
I want to watch. I want to see you lose your aura.
Bullcrap. No, the game's still not downloaded. You just.
Where is he?
I don't know, but I thought he was right here.
Minus 100 aura for bowing and not getting a heal.
Bro, look at Michael standing over there. He has to be in the middle then, because I'm gonna fuck up our skill check. Ready, Dante?
Yeah.
Oh, it's not even coming. Yeah, you got bailed out.
Okay. Dante, regain your aura by completing the gen anime.
He's on Michael. I'm about to hop on the gen. Where is this nigga?
He's on your left.
Who's heckler bitch?
It's Clown Hakeem. Hop on the gen with me. Oh.
Yes, I was doing that.
Our teammate's about to die. No, there's no point of that. That's a waste. Just stay on the gen,
There we go.
Dante. What the fuck? That was such a waste of time.
Not really.
Okay, Dante, use that thing on the gate.
Dante, use all your aura to escape.
Yeah, he used like 5% of his aura.
Damn, did Michael already? Damn, Michael was camping the other one. What the fuck?
What the fuck are you doing?
I'm trying to run this shit.
What the fuck?
It's because I have the light perk. I get a free flashlight. I'm gonna take it. It's a free flashlight for my shit.
Which gate was open?
I guess the other one. Michael was camping the shit out of the. He wasn't even trying to help. What the fuck? He was just trying to escape. Oh, you can't spam blink no more.
Teabag him, fuck that nigga.
You can't spam click this shit no more. All right, get on it. I'm gonna end my share plane.
Do I stream or no?
Hey, Hakeem, do you want me? Do you want to? Oh my god, bro. Do you want Chris's stream? I accidentally clicked leave the party. What the fuck?
I thought Michael logged into your account.
No, he's on his. Somehow all my shit progressed to his account. That doesn't even make sense, but.
Minus all aura.
Shut the frick up, Chris. No one asked.
Shut up. You have no
Shut
aura.
the frick up. Yeah, you don't have
Yo,
any
level
either.
1 crook.
Level 1 crook.
Dante, did you
You're
shit
losing at life. That's
did you
sad.
shit cross
Frick you.
progress yet?
No, it's coming out next update.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I
They're
think,
getting ready
I think,
for it.
I think when next
Link.
update comes, the 2v8 comes to, right? Maybe.
That's-
Yo, I saw a fucking video of the Dungeons and Dragons shit. You actually like roll dice and stuff in that.
Wait, that is like legit that? Oh.
Yeah, it's weird. And like you can teleport through lockers and shit. It's like portals, bro. That's actually gonna be weird. Alright, join up, blood. I don't even think Akim's in my stream. Or he probably is, but he's not even watching.
Lost all your aura.
Dun, dun.
How do I get this shit off my right of my screen? The Splendor shit.
What?
Back.
Hakeem, Chris is gonna stream on Twitch, okay?
Wait, you want me to stream?
Well, I thought you were. No, I'm saying I'm gonna keep my stream on, but if you want to start it, yeah. Ready up, bro.
I'm not starting it. If you have your shit on, there's no point then.
Bro,
Okay.
they need to keep this shit unlimited, bro. Why is this thing gonna end May 23rd? Like chaos show.
Because you guys are lame like that. That's why. Because you
It's
don't.
the only-
Dante, isn't that like 1 day away from your birthday?
What?
Are you freaking bro?
There's
what?
no way you just he's a fake friend.
Yeah.
Dante, don't ever like trust this kid. Bro.
Dante, your birthday's tomorrow.
Who's the
Right?
Dwight?
It's the Dwight is Dante. Look at his name. It's Civic Dragonfly.
What are you talking about?
This is the new killer. I mean, not new killer, new survivor team. This dumb bitch right here.
Bro, I
Sable
forgot to
Ward.
get the PS5 version of Dead by Daylight.
Nigga, why would you download the PS4 first?
I don't know.
Oh, the Steve is Michael.
It's just so blurry.
It's Michael. It's Michael. It's Michael's account. I'm gonna increase my game audio a little bit. Alright, Dante, I'm selling you on purpose. Dante, I'm gonna fuck up your gen. Remember Freddy? Bro, it's Freddy. It's Freddy. Shut up, bro. Shut up.
PS5 version, I think.
Hakeem, do you still have do you still have it downloaded or do you just
No,
delete
he
it?
doesn't.
Oh, you
no, he
deleted
doesn't.
it?
He doesn't have
Of
shit.
course he
yeah,
does
he
it.
deleted it.
Oh my gosh, you're selling.
Negative 500 aura.
Oh my good.
Negative.
I'm
I
gonna
don't know
gen.
how
I'm
to
gonna
play
killer
this game
check. I'm gonna killer check. Why are we going versus
I'm
Freddy,
gonna
bro? This
killer
nigga's
check.
so gay.
Bro, I feel so slow. Oh, I have flashbang.
Oh. Wait, who has? What's that? What's the bottom right perk next to our perks? What is that shit called? I forgot.
Oh, I have
Oh, shit.
self-care.
He's coming.
Flashbang.
Nigga, I'm hiding. Don't give a fuck. What are you guys doing? Run! Oh, Michael wasted killer check pellet.
Yo.
Bro,
Any guy
he
hit
blocked
us,
my
bro.
way.
And he messed it up. There's no way. Hey, bro,
Yo.
Bro, he blocked my way of getting out, bro. He freaking almost screwed me over.
It's okay. It's okay.
What is self? Oh, I have self-care.
Okay,
Dangerous.
let me see which ones I have.
Look, Hakeem, it's your old main. You're still here? What the fuck was that? Was that you, Chris? He's come.
Yes, that
He sees me! Yo, hey, can you get Michael? I have to run away.
Yeah.
How did he see me? This nigga's fake. Oh shit! One,
Oh.
two, come he's. I'm on the side. He left me. He's going to yo. He wants to go to yo. Wait, is he? I don't know if he's on me. Oh my god, he's still on me! Don't wait, what the fuck? Get away from me, yo! Yo, this nigga's a faggot.
he got the camp on
No!
crap.
Wait, what am
I can't sprint for shit.
I have chemical trap? What is that? What? I need to change my setting. I think they're on default. Like mine. Okay. Let me check. I'm gonna check my perks. Hold on.
Dante's not coming toward us. Dante's coming toward us. Oh my god, he got me! Spin, bitch! Oh, I got it. I'm dead. There's nothing here. I'm fucked.
Bro, my perks.
wasted all the pallets here!
I only used one over there, but Michael used killer strike though.
Let's just hit dead zone, bro.
There's already a dead zone on 5 gens. We're so calm. Who's getting me? Is that you, Dante?
Yeah, that's
Bro, he's camping. He's a bitch. Why do we all have? Why is there 3 perks? Go get him. I'll hit myself, Dante. I'll hit myself. I have a mic hit.
I know. I was just running away.
Bro,
Michael's getting me.
Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, of course the freaking place.
Thank you,
I
my
see him.
nigga.
You freaking saw me. I'm cooked. I'm freaking cooked, bro.
Bro, we're on 5 gens, bro. What the fuck?
I'm cooked.
This is so
effing
bad.
Dante, why would you bring him toward me?
I don't know where anyone is. I'm inside this green trap.
Dante, you're selling me.
Bro, can we do it, Jen, please?
I'm healing myself.
Oh,
Damn,
Okay,
you suck, Dante.
I'm probably gonna gen.
you freaking cooked me, bro. He's coming in there.
Hey, yo.
Why am I in this dumbass nightmare shit, bro? Damn, he got you in basement.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Such a dumb jit.
You guys are selling. Oh my god.
I'm doing it, Jen. You could wait like 30 seconds, right?
Is Michael coming for you? Oh shit,
No,
I gotta come,
He's
bro.
trying.
I gotta come. I'm coming. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. No way.
Minus 500 aura.
I'm coming, Dante. But we're fucked. They're both gonna go to basement, bro. Oh my gosh. Chris, I need you.
Nope, I'm doing this.
They got. What the f.
Fine, I'm coming.
Wait, no, you can stay over there? Hold on. I think I'll be able to get him. Did he teleport?
I don't know.
I'm asking Dante. Dante, talk.
What about it? What you want?
I was saying, did he teleport? He did.
Yeah.
He's coming back. We're in lockers. We're all in lockers. There's no way.
I got my flash grenade now.
I'm gonna distract him for y'all. Okay? Oh, is he still down there? Oh no, he's on me. Escape, bro, escape. Is this a dream? Oh, he's going back. Is this a dream pallet? Or am I fucked? How am I know if this is a dream pallet or if I'm fucked? I swear to God, if it's a dream pallet. It's a real pallet, yes. I'm trapped. Oh my gosh! I'm running away. Shut up! I'm trying to run away from you. Oh my gosh, yo! Fuck.
I'm cooked right now, bro.
I'm about to finish our first gen. Let's go.
Look at my tux this nigga has. It's the first gen. Bro, 2 of us are already on death stage, bro. That's crazy, young bro.
You and Michael on death stage.
Yo, Dante, go get Ryan.
Bro, I'm in death stage. Gotta fucking help you.
Hold on, let me exit my dream, cause I can now.
Oh, bro, Michael's bringing him toward me.
It's because he can't hear your callouts.
But he sees me on the gen.
Oh. It's because he's dead. He wants help. Look, he's dead. What the fuck? Yo, chat, are we gonna win?
Yep.
Hakeem, you see this game? We're actually gonna end. Just run away, but I don't even want it. We're fucked.
How about flash grenade?
Come here, I'm behind this rock, cuz.
Hold on, I'm escaping my dream.
I have a perk. I can heal myself.
Where are you?
I
just
can
hear
heal
you.
myself. I can heal myself. Run, just go. Just go.
Bro,
do
it's
that.
gonna take like a fucking
It
3
takes
hours.
time if you can go do a gen. It's better. You don't gotta take time healing
Okay,
me.
yep. The gens are halfway across the map.
Dante,
Give me,
why are you
like,
here?
17 minutes.
Shut the fuck up. Alright, using this perk.
I'm doing.
I'm blessing something. Hold on.
Bro, why are you wasting your time on that? Oh my
Okay.
gosh. He's
He's
coming!
getting chased.
Oh shit!
I'm at Killer Shack. Do not bring him to Killer Shack.
Nigga,
That's- I don't
that's-
care if you're dying.
that
I'm
area
gonna
is
bring him
dead,
as
bro.
far as possible. All right.
Bro, that zone is... Bro, okay.
Well, at least
Nigga,
in the
I'm the
middle
goat.
part of the map.
Bro, this nigga has me in his nightmare shit, bro. Did they buff this nigga, bro? Or am I just like... Are we just like, what the fuck?
I was trying to bring
Heard
him as
this
far as
ass.
possible.
Yeah, we're getting shit.
I was gonna be cooked anyways, so. Oh, he's going over the kill. Oh, never mind. Yeah, he's over by Killer Shack, so watch out. Oh, he's going towards you. Who's ever not working on the gen is coming towards you.
I know, hold on. Okay, he's going to kill the
He's going
shit.
towards gen.
You wanna get Dante?
I ran. He's up. I think
I'll
he's
get
on
him.
me.
I'll get Dante. Bro, we're really like trying on shit. Come on, Dante. Come here. What the fuck, where are you?
I went into the building. Upstairs.
The Killer Shack is like 60%. He probably hit it, so it's like 50.
Oh my god, he's on me! He's on me! Run!
I see him on.
This nigga's still on my cock! Cock and ball torture. This is so bad. I don't know where you guys are. Wait, where are you?
I don't know how to explain it.
Oh my god, again, fucking yo! Oh no! No! Run! Yeah, I'm blocked, bro. Shit. I have a weird perk called chemical trap. I should have used it. Alright, I'm dead. It's on y'all too.
Dude, it's like, don't you?
Huh.
Come here.
If he starts chasing, I'll take the hits.
Good boy.
Shut the frick up. Now I'm not gonna take it.
There's no way. Dante, mess it up. Fuck up the heal. There's no way.
He's after you, bro. He's after you. He knows you dang well.
Oh
that, you know.
no. Why am I so slow?
Run! Run faster!
Oh, running! Oh, bitch! Oh.
Hey, just try to
no
blind him.
pallets.
Try to blind him or some shit.
Is there a pallet right? Oh my god, there's a
He's
pallet.
going-
Ah, no!
Yeah, good job. This nigga's gay, bro. He's actually ass. I'ma fucking kill him. Dante, why are you just stay, bro? You should have been crawl away.
What are you doing?
I was recovering, so if you did successfully do it, you can just easily pick me up and just run.
Dante, are we cooked?
Yes.
So you're gonna die first, Dante.
Alright, go to lobby chat.
Dang it.
Bro, that was actually.
Yes, bro.
That game
I
was-
swear, Michael cooked us.
But I told you that, Dante. You said it's okay. I mean, it's okay. I don't
know, but I
mind.
thought
I
you
don't.
were
I don't
like-
mind. No, I
But
told
you
you, bro.
didn't
He's,
exaggerate how bad he was, bro.
bro, he's a kid. He's gonna get scared to like the presence of the killer.
Invite him to
care.
the party, bruh.
Yeah, I
Did you
got
see
you.
what he freaking did with like his minifigures, bro? He freaking hooked one of them.
I'm gonna scream Michael at him to get him more scared. Michael! Michael!
Already up.
Yeah,
Why-
invite him to the party, invite him to the party.
No, I'm not doing this shit.
Why?
Come on.
You're not doing
Invite
that.
him.
Okay, okay, I won't.
No, I don't even trust him no more, bro.
Okay, I
Why is
won't.
this nigga not in the wall?
I won't.
Michael, he's right behind you.
Michael, watch out!
Nigga, shut up. Like, I don't talk about fucking Alex, nigga, shut up, holy crap.
Michael, he's right there.
Bro, whenever, I know this nigga's gonna want to fucking, like, just do that shit against you, remember?
What?
He always wanted to play killer against you, remember?
He's right behind me, isn't he?
Dante, how come you don't have... Oh, never mind. I'm gonna, like, milk your tits.
Bro, what?
Why are we all just niggas? Let me be a slut, hold on. I'll be this bitch.
I just realized, why is she wearing her pants that high? Holy crap. Who the frick is that? Is that like freaking...
What am I wearing, bro?
Is that freaking Thor? Pimped out Thor.
Bro, I have to look confident, bro. Hold on. Can I put this? My outfit is actually tough, you can't lie. Bro, my man said he was jerking off while eating like Jolly Ranchers before he got before he like teleported to this fucking
Bro, what?
room.
Alex, why are you in the party, bro?
It's in the party?
Yes.
Yeah, he's been in the party.
You're just on the PS. Alex, how come you're just on the PS4?
That's why I like
Maybe
watching
because you're
YouTube.
on the PS5.
No, this says you're on the PS4.
Yeah. Just around the corner. What?
Add
The
my
Legion.
info for
It's the Legion, guys. Bro, I hate the Legion. Oh my god.
Chris.
What?
Imagine if Mike was in the party and just turn up your mic all the way.
He's right behind you. Shut up. It's the Legion, guys. We're fucked.
Bro,
He's already on us.
What? There's no way he's already on you.
He's
Bro, I
near.
have some lame ass perks.
Wait, bro, how is he on us, bro?
Ooh, I get quiet.
He doesn't like your homeless ass.
He messed up. He messed his queen.
Yeah, it's quiet room, right? Yeah, silence and cooldowns.
Yo.
Shut up.
Oh my god. Get away from me.
Stop, you're scaring me.
Bro, he's going to yell now. Bro, I forgot how like this game. Who's after y'all? I forgot how badly this game gives me PTSD from every fucking thing, bro. What are my perks? Oh, these unknown ass perks. Holy shit. Y'all niggas weren't even on a gen? Oh my
Yo, I was on
god.
it, but he's chasing me now.
I went on the jet.
Oh my god. No, I'm dead. Oh my god, I sprint him. Oh my god, I'm the
I hate-
greatest. Thank you, God.
I think it's a noob legion. I don't know where Killer Shack is. I haven't gone
I'm
there.
dead. I'm dead. I'm dead.
I'm right
Okay.
next to it.
No!
I don't even know where you are.
This fucking...
I'm blinded.
Yeah, same.
Heal.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Why do I hear like 3 screams?
This nigga Michael ran toward me and he got on
Alright,
me.
I'm gonna go get him after I heal, or after you niggas get me healed.
I see him. He's just getting chilling in the background. No, oh my gosh.
He's
Oh,
coming.
okay.
Wait. He's coming
Bro,
too.
if I had my regular perks, like I would be fucked. I'm not gonna lie.
What is this? What are my perks, bro?
I don't even know my perks.
This
you
shit is
see-
actually bad. I think I have I have a
Right.
ace perk. I have the locker shit. I'll hear you right here. Oh, that goes one of my perks. What the fuck?
Bro.
Is he coming back or is he still on y'all?
He's still on us.
How are you healing? Oh,
Run, Michael, run.
he's one tap.
There's no way. He was on the other side of the wall and he bolted right into the killer's face.
It's a. Bro, I'm not gonna lie, bro. If I get scared of this shit, Michael, I wonder how Michael feels playing this. Yeah, it's funny though, cause he likes it, but he's just like scared at the same time.
Oh crap, I was trying to sabotage one of the things so I could get him.
I'm gonna go. Oh shit, he's coming, Chris. He's coming.
Yo.
Bro, that nigga. Don't let him hit you! Please don't let him hit you.
Oh, he wasted his hit.
Okay, nice,
he wasted
nice.
his hit.
Bro, how? Oh my gosh. I'm on the same gen that y'all on.
How did he find me? Wait, how did he find me? On God, this nigga's cheating. Fuck you.
What if there's Zens
I
in
have no
this game?
pallets. I have no pallets.
What if there's Zens in here?
Zens.
Bro! No! Run!
I had no pallets. Just oh, there was a pallet right here. I didn't see. Fuck.
Crap.
I went back to the gen that we were on.
Oh, you know what I realized, Ryan? That freaking first person POV is for the killer.
Oh, okay.
That
Oh, you
makes
can make
more
it
sense.
bigger. That's kind of.
The
There's already a
FOV
perk for that.
slider, or where you can adjust it, is like new though.
Yeah, I'll heal you. I'll heal you.
Hold on.
No, don't finish it. Oh my gosh. Bro, that just notified the nigga Dante. I mean, he's not gonna come over here though. It's okay. Oh.
What the fuck?
You guys mended me. Thank you.
This nigga Michael.
Heal me, man.
Let me fuck up a skill check real quick.
No, bro, chill.
Let me pick it up.
I have a Zen, so all my shit is green. Get away! Get out of my way! I'm gonna go get him. Or are you gonna go get him, Dante?
Yeah.
What a
let's
good
get him.
friend. You got him.
Such a good
I'm gonna
boy.
go get him. I'm
Such a
gonna
good
go.
boy.
Oh shit! I see him.
Oh shit, he saw you. Oh, he saw me.
Oh shit!
Oh my god, he predicted my move. Bitch.
Try not to go to
Oh,
main building.
fuck.
Oh, you're already next to me.
He hit me.
He's coming to me. He's coming to me! Get away from me!
There's no way we haven't got another generator down. We've only.
They messed up their shit! They messed up their frenzy!
Oh, my perks are ass. Does not help me for shit.
He left me.
No way Michael brought him to me. Oh, that's right, Dante. I don't know where you're at. I'm blind. Oh my god!
There's no way, bro.
Oh my god,
my
I can't
perks
catch a
suck.
break.
You guys make me giggle. I'm gonna come get you, Johnson.
He's on me, bro. And
I
there's
just
not a
fast
single
ulted.
pallet to be in sight. Yeah, I'm dead. I'm actually dead.
Are all the pallets down already?
Yes, it's dead.
I didn't,
Fucking
bro.
everything.
I didn't use. I didn't even use a single. I used one pallet the whole game.
Oh please.
I'll be right here, Dante.
Okay.
Bro, we can't do shit.
Great. This whole fucking left side's a desert. Like every fucking. Yeah.
Yo, I'm sorry. I'm loving this right now. Holy shit.
Bro. It's not a single pallet to be
I'll go get him,
inside,
Dante.
bro.
I'll go get him.
Alright.
Let's go to jail. Oh my gosh, she's coming back.
Let's do regular loadouts after this.
Alright, she's coming back. She's going to
I
UTLT.
see.
Shut up. Yo, what was that calm shit? 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock. 8 o'clock, main building.
A4.
Like, shut up. Oh, here.
What?
Ah, that's one of my perks. I don't know. I think I'm acing the hole. I'm gonna use it right now. There's a gen in main building, so you can follow me.
All my perks are useless, bro.
Imagine having like no middle.
There's
like,
a gen right here on our right.
Okay, you work on that then. I'm gonna work on this one inside of here. Oh, downstairs. Yo, who's coming over here? Oh, Michael Bronner! Bro, Michael Bronner, no! There's no
Drop
way.
that shit, Dante, you idiot!
Bro, Michael Bronner, there's no... My Dante was gonna finish the gen.
I can't do crap. Oh my god.
I found Michael. Should I fuck up Michael's skill check?
No, bro, no. This nigga's already like just nervous playing.
Yo, he found this, bro.
Why am I loving this shit?
It's Michael! Michael, get away from me!
Yo, come here. Come on the gen.
Okay.
Oh, let me heal this nigga. Fuck, I'm gonna have to go get Dante. Hold on, you heal. Dante, where the fuck are you?
Somewhere.
Oh crap, I thought she was still on you! Oh shit! I thought she was still on you! Oh! There's no way! No, fuck! I'm gonna run away to like the corner.
This game's so stressful, man.
Oh my gosh. Let's go, she fucked up her shit! Get away from me! Wait, where are you guys? Oh, I know. Bro, get away from me! Get away from me right now. Actually, under my set, you can sit there, you can sit there. That's tough.
Yep.
She's just leaving. It's cause she knows where y'all are. She has the frenzy shit.
Oh crap.
Oh, I'm gonna man myself.
We're so close to finishing.
Yeah, she's in the frenzy though. She knows where all of us. Why is she coming to me? Oh, never mind. I'm behind.
Okay.
I hate this music, bro.
She's going to... No.
Yo.
Higgins said he would be back soon. Don't end it.
Okay. I didn't know he was still on my stream.
Alright, Nina, go get it.
Oh my god! What? Bro, that joke scared me. That scared the shit out of me. What the fuck? I wasn't expecting that. No. I'm on my first hook,
I'm
bro.
so close. I'm gonna stick it. I don't care if I die.
Bro, we're so close. Oh, Michael got you. Damn, Michael sacrificed his life for you, Dante.
Is she by you?
No, she's chasing them. Oh no, they're near me. Yeah, they're near me. They're right next to me. Michael sacrificing his life for me.
Did he even get it off in time?
Yeah, he did.
Come here.
Just keep running. Yo, Michael's a real one. Him or her. She left. Him or her.
Where he goes in that frenzy shit.
Oh shit. I'll let you know. Wait, is she on you, Dante?
Yes. Try not to go towards y'all.
No, come to us. Or come to me. Here, I'll go to you. Hold on, let me see if I can distract you. Oh my god!
I didn't even leave it to y'all. What the fuck?
No, I did it on purpose. I was trying to take her away from you because you're on your death hook.
Oh, that's true.
I don't know what to do. It's a 3-gen.
I'm fucked.
No, it's not.
I don't have no
it's not.
pellets.
Over here.
Yeah, what happened?
Get this one.
Come on, Dante. I think we need to stick it. I'm not gonna lie.
We have to.
Yeah, y'all stick it. Don't get me. She's heading us way. She's running.
Fuck!
There's no way.
Every every time she sprints and she like.
This game is so. Dante, you're getting me?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
We need all the help we can get to get that gen done.
Running.
Okay, run over here.
Ryan!
What?
Whenever she was running, she like always.
No, Michael. I mean, Dante,
What are you
come on. We need to heal. We have to reset.
That's true.
Chris is just like hiding. He
Oh
could-
my god, no. Oh my god, she missed. Dumb bitch. She missed. Fat fuck.
Take it away from main building. Take it away from me. Oh, never mind. It's
I
too
don't know where
late.
you are.
It's too late. It's too late.
I'm dead.
Bro, I need like better perks, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Dude, my perks are not that good.
Yeah, no. I don't even know what the fuck I have.
I'm dead. My killer shack.
Ryan!
No.
Let's take it. Let's go.
Come on,
Okay, come on.
Come on, go. I'm gonna try to waste your time.
Bro, I'm not gonna. That took a long ass time to heal. They probably nerfed that shit even more.
Come on, do it.
Bro, this is not gonna. It's too, nah. It's
Yeah,
too
you
long.
guys
It's
are
too
not.
much. It's too much. She's already coming. Wait, let me fuck her up. Hold on. What the fuck?
There was not a single pallet in sight, bro.
Can you like, alright, I
I
get
also.
distractor while.
I'm distracting her. I'm distracting her, Dante.
Alright, I'm gonna go try to get the gen done.
Oh my god! No, get away from me! Get away from me! I'm gonna run away from me. I'm gonna run away from me. Is there? Wait,
go.
did you use Killer Strike pellet?
No, I didn't even get to it yet. I don't know if Michael used it though.
Oh,
Oh,
still
you're
here.
so lucky. You gotta throw it down, Michael.
No! Bro, this is so bad.
Ryan,
What?
whenever she was running, she like always knew what I was. She always knew what she was.
Just a little
You
longer.
gotta vault and then
Is there a pellet here?
there's no pallet, bro. Every fucking pallet's gone in there. You're dead. Dante, you gotta stick through it. Oh, he's on Dante. Oh, yeah, Dante.
Oh, frick you.
I am dead, Ryan. Ryan.
Dante, run away from. No! She saw me! Go back to the gen! Go back to the gen!
Go back.
Run.
I'm going back.
You should have hid in the locker.
I'm so close. Keep going, Ryan. Keep going.
Come on.
No! 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 Pump the chin! Oh, I wish I had adrenaline. Oh wait, no, never mind. I didn't be on time. Okay, Dante, escape! Get the fuck out of here! Oh my gosh.
No, he has to find the hatch now.
No, he can just. Oh.
I'm gonna find the hatch.
Wait, I might wiggle out.
Wait, no,
Oh,
you
never
can just
mind, no.
frenzy. He's gonna find you.
No, because she has to hit someone. I mean, you just gotta hide. Just hide real quick. Until I actually completely die. Bro.
Okay, let the Lord with you.
One more? Okay.
Because
We're gonna do a regular game when this.
Now, okay, this is where the nice quiet running
Yeah.
comes in handy.
Oh shit.
You're so dead. You're
Dozzy,
so
what are your
dead.
perks? This dude has a what is this? What is he running? I don't know the names of any of the perks you have.
this one is called empathy. I don't know what
I
that
still heal though, I think.
I don't know what this one is.
Okay, there's a gate over here, right?
Blood is so dead.
There's a gate over here, right?
Yes, right in front of you. But wait
She's
until
gonna-
she comes. Wait until she
Yeah,
comes.
yeah. Sure. So Keem,
He's
this whole
Should I
game
do
has
it?
been chaos. No,
Should I do it?
actually, I don't know. I'm not saying nothing. It's up to you. I'm not. I don't-
Oh, you're dead. She was gonna see you anyways.
That's crazy.
That's such an unlucky
My
spot.
connection is too strong.
Oh, there's no way. Wait, does she see the scratch marks? Oh, she sees them. She has to.
Oh,
What? How does she? There's no way.
How did she
Okay.
know?
I don't know. She's hacking.
so that's realistic, Ryan.
I
What?
don't even have any scrap, bro. What?
What?
She has a Zen. There's no way. All right.
That's
Put
so
on-
dumb.
Put on normal mode, Dante.
What does Hakeem have in his back?
He's in the stream. He's in my stream. What's up?
That's
What's
so
up?
dumb. How did she see that?
I finished GTA Vice City.
For Twitch, tell Chris.
Hakeem said his connection isn't good enough for Twitch, Chris.
Huh?
He said his connection isn't good enough for Twitch.
Ew. Why
Alright,
That's
put
so
on,
dumb. What?
put on regular. But don't think it's okay, GG's.
Wait, don't join.
That's so
Yeah,
dumb.
come back to the lobby.
Frick.
I mean, we were actually about to like.
Okay,
Yeah, we're
hold on.
escape.
I'll invite you guys to the new one.
Why did you kick me?
Why would you do that?
If it wasn't normal mode.
We were playing the
You're gonna have
random.
to.
We were playing random shuffle, Hakeem. It gives you random perks. It gives a killer and you random perks. I rejected your invite. Can you invite me again?
Bro.
Oh, there we go. I accidentally clicked to reject.
Invite me.
I am.
You don't love me no more, Dante.
Did you wait? I can't send you another invite. Oh, okay, because you were joining, I guess.
Michael's in a match, man. He needs to leave it.
How did he get in a match that fast?
No, he's still in that. He's still. Oh yeah, let me shoot my loader. Hold on.
I'm gonna run resilience, made for this, hope, and windows of opportunity.
Dante, if I could get on your account, bro, I could give you free perks. But you don't play on console though. No, but you don't play on console. That's the thing. I did it for I did it for Hakeem and Chris. I feel like one of the devs went on their accounts, like that shit's not even gonna look real. They don't have none of the DLCs purchased and shit.
Let me connect your PS account to my thing, bro. Come
It's
on.
not gonna. It doesn't. No, it doesn't work like that. I have to like share play with you.
Ryan, I'm going to use your
No, it's a joke because we have cross progression. So the whole joke is, come on, let me link my.
That was not funny.
Hold on. Where's hold on? Wait, buckle up, leaf. Give me leaf.
Bro, hurry up, man.
Dante, what do you have? Cause I don't want to put on prove thyself and you already have it.
I do not have proof thyself.
Okay, I will leave it on them.
Look
Buh.
at myself.
But
You're not funny,
But it's
Chris.
like you're
You're
bu-
really not.
yeah, you're
the most
fucking
unfunniest
disgusting.
person I've ever met.
Shut up, man.
You make me want to jerk my tits.
What?
Yeah, you're the most like bland, like unfunny person. You're more bland
Shut
than a
up.
white guy.
Dante, put
Shut
an item
up.
on, bro.
Shut the
You're a
frick
white
up.
guy.
You
You're a
need to
white
shut the
guy.
frick up.
What are we?
What other modes are there?
No, it's just this. It was just the random perks. That's all. I'm waiting for the two. I think the 2V's coming like in June or something.
Hey, you're fat. You ordered a 30-inch pizza. Frick you.
Yep.
So did you.
Nigga, all of us did. The fuck?
Shut up, pig.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I shoved that shit in my ass when I was eating it. All that grease was like pouring down my throat, and I spit it back in Dante.
Yeah, I was switching the grease in my mouth. I brushed my teeth
Ew.
with the grease.
That's nasty. Oh my god.
I don't even eat the. I don't even eat the pizza. I just like drink the grease.
I like squish it in my hand, like really. I like twist it like I'm like wrinkling a wet shirt.
Yeah,
Like I'm beginning trying to get all that water out.
I licked the pizza.
I twisted like what Steve-O did to that dude's underwear when it was all sweaty and
Yeah.
shit.
I just like I like squeezing the pizza and like the sauce is going between my dirty fingers and shit, and I lick
Yep.
it off.
Alright. Mine gets the job done.
I'm changing my sensitivity, but
You need to delete the PS4 version and download the PS. Oh damn! Hakeem said he was eating when we were saying that right now. That's crazy.
yeah.
Bro, turn that shit off.
Almost like a fit up your
Bro,
ass.
shut up. Yeah, and I want you to fart so you can make a little bubble with it. What the fuck? Bro, turn that off. What? Did I hear you say nigger, Dante? Yeah, I heard you say nigger.
Yeah, Dante, you said.
I would totally call you that.
Hakeem, what do
Yo,
you
YouTube, if you don't take this stream down, bruh, I swear to God, I'm gonna do some bad things.
Dante,
bro.
why didn't you
This
put
is
an
the last
item
one.
on? You sold my game already.
Oh my god, Dante. You're clearly not locked or passionate, Dante. Why are you even
Passionate?
playing this game?
Who the fuck put the blueprint, bro? Which one of you
That was
niggas put
me.
that? Of course
That
you
was
did.
me.
Of course you did. Nigga wants to win.
Spicy.
What's spicy? My cock, Hakeem? I'm just kidding. What are you eating, curry or something? I was Andrew's graduation party.
Curry.
All my niggas
Wait, what?
balling
Why is he
like
watching?
curry.
Is he back home or is he at Andrew's house?
I don't know. Hakeem, are you back home or are you at Andrew's? I think he's back home. If he said the internet's fucked up. So he's probably back home. All my niggas balling like curry. Well, who's the killer? Did it tell y'all?
Wait, who is even
No,
at that
this is
party
Chase.
anyways?
What happened?
Was top golf.
These and then your fat nuts all
Oh,
across
they
your
they
face.
win at Top Golf, cuh. Oh, because Andrew plays golf.
Top golf.
Bro, why are we in this shitty? Oh my god!
Shitty booty
Dante, oh my god!
At my brother's house.
Why are we all together?
Why did he jump?
I don't know. Why are we all together? Oh, he's at his brother's house. Who's the killer? I'm gonna get scared.
Shitty
if
booty
fucking Ghostface grabs my ass cheeks.
Bro, I'm clenching my ass cheeks right now.
Who the fuck
Bro,
jumped?
Dante, stop.
Yeah, get away.
Get your
You're
bald
white.
ass on. Yep, Dante, you're so unpassionate. Bro, I'm scared.
Run!
What if
No,
it's
I'm
like
just kidding.
Michael Myers?
Yeah, I don't know. What if he's stalking? Oh my god, I almost walked on the switcher.
Oh, I see him.
Oh, bro, there's no way.
I saw him.
Is it a silent killer? I don't hear the radius, and I saw him too.
I saw him and he distracted me.
Who is it?
Oh no, he does have a
know.
radius. He has a radius. I don't know who it is though. I hear that.
I'm trying to get a good look at him.
Yeah. What the fuck is this nigga, yo? This nigga's playing hide and seek.
Oh my god, but he's in my building, but.
What's the radius? Or who is it?
Oh, it's a trapper.
Oh, okay. Trapper?
He just walked right past me.
They buffed him, I think, on all of them. I was like when I hopped off, when I stopped playing this shit.
But he's just camping the gen.
What? That's good.
He's just walking back and forth on the
Dante,
gen.
you're on PC, right? You can moonwalk, but
Yeah.
you can do it easily.
Yeah, they did.
I don't know how to though.
I think you just, I think, I don't know. I forgot.
Yeah, he's just checking lockers. This guy's new or something. He has to be new.
Then Gen Rush, bro.
No, he's like right in front of me.
Where is Michael? Is he with you?
No, I don't know. I'm just stuck. Okay, finally.
Oh shit, he's on me.
bro.
On serving presents.
Tell me if he's like a new person or not.
Oh my gosh! He set a trap! Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Dante.
Bro, there's no way.
I didn't know you were there. I didn't know you were there, bro. You should have said something.
Yep.
Oh, he's back on me.
Yeah, I escaped him.
This nigga's on my cock. Oh, he
Good,
just
I'm
reset.
glad.
Wait, what is he doing, bro? Okay, this nigga has to be. Yeah, he is new. Wait, does he see me? Yeah.
Is he still chasing you? Oh,
No.
fuck.
Yeah, we
He's
won this
chasing
game.
Michael.
I already know we won this
But
game.
Michael brought him to my gen, so now I can't finish it, bro.
Dante, what gen are you on?
Basement.
Okay. In that house.
Yeah.
No!
Where are you? Where are you?
I don't know
There's
where
no
we were
way,
doing that
dude.
gen.
3 gen. We just 3 gen us so.
And I
That's
fell for a...
crazy.
Wow, what
That's
a random ass
crazy.
trap. What a random ass trap.
How did you go?
He's replacing it.
Wow. There's no way we're gonna.
Oh,
like,
because of Michael
gen
fucking,
ourselves.
and Michael's doing the gen right in front of me. Nice. He didn't
We're
even
about to-
finish it, bro.
Bro, we're about to 2-gen ourselves. No, we just.
I'm about to get you. It's just setting a. Yo, this nigga's on Michael's cock. Let me hear you. Let me hear you.
That's good. I have resilience. And made for this.
Yeah,
so.
but it's. Oh, okay. Look at Michael.
Oh shit.
Look what I'm
If
about
Michael
to
gets
do.
knocked, I'm a flashlight.
No, look what I'm about to do though. Look what I'm about to do. Hold on.
I'm sticking to it.
What the fuck was that? I did not mean it, bro. There's so much traps in here.
I did it. I did it.
What am I supposed to do? I'm stuck. Run. Heal me, Dante.
Run.
Heal me.
Was he not gonna get Michael? I missed.
Oh, yeah, you got it. Okay, nice, nice.
Shitty booty.
Did he step in his own perk? Or
Yeah, he did.
That's crazy. Bro, I wasted my toolbox.
When you're busy this week.
Oh, he's coming. He's coming to me.
Here, Dante, you want this? If we escape, it's a nice toolbox. I wasted it.
The fuck? Oh, he's putting a. Don't go to the other gate. He put a trap on it.
I don't know where the gates are. I didn't even see this shit. Oh, I hear it. I hear the one that Mike was at.
Yeah.
Dante's leaving on Friday, so I wanna have my car.
Yo, body block Michael. Don't heal him. Don't body block him. Body block him. Don't heal him. Don't heal him.
Why?
Cause I can get him. Don't heal him.
Why?
Just, yeah, body block him. Body block him. Yeah, do it.
I'm gonna throw this killer.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Never mind. You wait.
Is there a trap right here? Oh, there is a trap. I'm gonna do this trap right here.
Do it.
Oh shit! Oh wait, is this gonna let me? Move, bruh! No! Oh my god! Yo, you sold.
No.
You
sold.
guys sold.
Heal me.
I have a
Heal
flashlight.
me.
I have a flashlight.
You sold the flashlight. You sold the flashlight. There's no way.
Sold.
How did you fucking sell that? That was so... Heal me, Dante. Dante, heal me. Oh my gosh, you guys are selling.
Oh,
Bro, you guys just sold.
Yo,
You guys sold so hard. You guys
I'm dead.
sold
I'm
so
dead. Don't
hard.
leave. Don't leave, please. Oh, he sucks. Wait, we can still do
I
it. We
know.
can still do it.
Heal me. Bro, you Nick, how did you miss that flashlight?
Bro, I'm rusty. I don't know the timing. Go.
I'm getting Michael.
Get Michael. Get Michael.
Let's go.
Oh my god, let's go. Go.
Oh my gosh.
I was shooting him in point blank range.
I left, bro. So you guys are.
Oh,
Let's go, man.
I was shooting
This
him in
nigga
point
sold
blank.
so hard. He could have just camped the thing. Holy shit.
He's so ass.
Wait, what were his perks? Let me see his perks. Oh yeah, he wasn't him. This nigga had beginner perks. What was Micah running? What the fuck? Resilience.
Who's juking the fuck out that guy?
Oh, Dante has unbreakable. Babysitter? Oh. Deja vu. What's up?
Hey, how you looking at my
Okay.
perks? What the frick?
At the end game, you can
He's
see what
hacking, bro. He's hacking, Dante. You gotta report him.
No way.
Yeah, you just lost all your orificing the dumbest crap I've ever heard.
So you're gonna go, you press pause, and then you go accessibility, and then I think you go right here, and then it's the fucking hard beat vision, and turn it on. Hold on. I'm gonna change my shit. Dante, did you escape with the toolbox?
Yeah.
Oh, you have it? That's crazy. I wasted it.
Say again?
I wasted mine.
I know you did. Let me put it on, just cause you gave it to me.
I'm gonna put it on as well. Dun dun. That was so bad, bro. I thought we
That
sold
shit
so
nah.
hard.
Why isn't Michael in party?
I don't know. He couldn't join. I'm not gonna lie. This nigga Chris sold so.
Oh, I clutched up at
Such a
the
nigga, that was
bro.
such an easy flashlight shit. That was so easy as shit.
Bro, I don't know how to. I forgot the timing. I don't know
I
what
think
to
it's
do.
whenever like he gets him on his knees a little and like raises him up. But I don't know exactly.
I don't know.
What the fuck was that Trevor doing? The nigga was like walking back and forth when he knocked Michael down. Nigga was like fucking saving his food. Just protecting that shit. Like, what the hell? I'm gonna change my channel.
I'm bleeding.
Shut up.
What the fuck? Who's watching that?
What is that?
That's you, bro.
What the f- I'm looking at somebody's cack.
You never remember doing that crap in my car?
Oh, I do. Shut up.
Breathing so hard.
Jetlin, fuck Tugans. Jetlin. Alright. The worst one in this lobby has to be Dante. Alright, I'm gonna play any animal with my eyes closed, ready? And whoever lands on is gonna go to, is like the worst one in here. Eeny, meeny, miny, moe, Captain Tiger by his tail, mine, I say that you are the fucking worst. Oh, Dante's here.
Oh
What purse do
my
you have?
god, shut up.
You gotta prestige your people.
I have spine chill.
Can you guys ready up? Chat, ready up now. Dante, put on something, bro.
Yeah, Dante, put on my toolbox I gave you. Bro, this nigga Michael has a light on. There's no way he's gonna get a blind off.
He's gonna get it, I believe in him.
He did one time. It was on DVD mobile. Shit was really kind of tough.
You know how you know how
It was-
easy
it-
that is?
I found it kind of hard. I'm not gonna lie.
Bro, I played all the way and I got to like, what is that, Ascendant? What is that? What's the last
The
rank?
iridescent shit.
Yeah, I got into Iridescent rank using the clown. That shit was so easy.
On ranks. Where's the ranks?
On
Yeah.
the mobile?
On
When
mobile.
you guys actually played the mobile version?
I
It only
did like,
took me,
it was
like-
last year. I think it was around the summertime. I downloaded it on my phone.
It only took me like 4 hours to take. It only took me 4 hours.
But who's knocking, bro? When is that Phasmophobia shit coming out?
August.
Bruh.
So for you guys, it could be
How much is it gonna be?
Do you want to know who's
like, I think it's
spirit?
15
It's the spirit?
bucks,
Bro,
but
what?
that was whenever it was.
I don't know
always
who
get,
that
like,
is.
two of the kills.
It's
Bro,
the thick, or not thick, the bad bitch that's old as shit.
It's the spirit.
Huh?
The one that goes invisible?
Yeah, and she's like,
Bro, that was scary.
that's how she sounds. She's like, shut up. Why do I have these niggas on max, bro? Like, I actually swear. Okay, there. Yo, go hop on the gen. I have proof thyself, bro.
Oh my god.
Just stay on the gen. Stay on the gen.
Bro, if I hear like,
She's coming. She's coming.
she is?
Yeah, my spine chill is on. Where is she? Oh shit! What the
she
fuck? Wait, how did she out Michael? Wait, where was Michael? What the fuck? What was Michael doing? Oh, he was in the rush too. Michael, we're in a game! Oh, that's... Wait, no. Wait, what?
Bitch.
Dante, you in the... Oh, never mind. You're on that generator.
Oh, she got me.
I can see you, nigga. Nigga got a blind. Get your dumbass. Get your What the fuck?
You guys are...
Get away from me!
You guys are cooked.
Bro, he brought her to me. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
you
Wait, you... Oh no, I'm gonna get hooked in the basement.
Where are you, Dante?
I'm crawling. I'm crawling. Someone help me.
I'm next to the little hill.
Someone get the flash. Michael.
Nigga, I don't have a flashlight. Michael does.
Oh shit. Yo, there's like 3 hooks right by me.
Yeah, you're cooked, bro.
Oh my god! Oh my god! That was insane, yo! Come on! Oh my god! Yo, run! Run! Oh my god!
I
Why
can't
did
get it in time.
Bro, why did she pick up Michael, bro? She's a dirty slut. He's going to basement. Oh no, he's not going to basement. Yo, why is she here? I'll get Michael.
Dante, go straight, Dante, go straight.
Is she following you?
Okay, you're doing
I
this
don't know.
was just on.
Yes, she is. Oh my god, Dante, fuck you.
Just to come to you. You can't be
I didn't know she was chasing you. Stupid slimy skunk.
Oh, bro, she's... Oh, what the
I'm
frick? I'm hallucinating.
She's coming. She's back on us. She's back on us.
Okay, I'm working on the gen again.
Just go run. Oh, she's on y'all. She sees y'all's blood, bro. Oh
I'm sticking to it.
my god!
Fuck you.
I'm coming to the
I
gym.
think I'm dead.
I stuck to it.
I'm dead. Oh, no! Oh, I'm so going in the basement.
Oh my god! Run! Oh my god, you! She's on me. No! Let's get the shit out of me. Michael's. Oh, Michael. She's facing the wall. She's facing the wall. Damn, she's mad. Holy shit, that was insane. She's going to Michael. She's gonna get Michael. She's on Michael. Bro, she's right there. She's right there. She's right here. What the fuck?
Oh shit! Oh,
You run. She's on Michael. She's on Michael.
Dante, you gotta save me.
Is she coming back?
Oh no.
She's right there. She's right there. She's right there.
Get off me, bitch! Did she see us?
Get off us.
Dodge
Heal
her.
me, heal me.
Oh, bro, what? There's no way.
Oh my god!
Wow. I dodged her once, it's like... I'm going to the other side of the map. I'm going to stop
Where's
chilling
Michael
that
at?
part.
Dante, I need help. Oh my god. Nigga, crawl away.
Wait, are you both down?
Nigga, I'm hooked. Dante, you brought her to us, blood.
What do you mean I dodged her? And then she lost interest.
She's a bitch. Why did she come to me?
Touch me!
Me and Michael,
She's gonna rape Chris. Yo, we're fucked. Don't, Michael's gonna be. I'm running. Yo, this is so bad. This is so bad.
Can I get help? Michael's getting me.
Why is she over here? Come on, I'm going to Michael. I'm going to Michael.
oh, she's on me.
Yeah, okay, we're gonna heal. We're gonna heal me more. Yeah, this game is fucked. We lost this game already.
It's Hatch game. Hatch set Killer Shack.
Yo, that's crazy.
Dang it.
Shit. Bro, this dude Michael needs to follow me. Chris, come on. Or I shouldn't have said that, never mind. Wait, I don't even think you're on Legend. Oh my god, we're healing. Hold on, don't you? You're probably gonna have to. I'm not gonna lie, I think you're gonna reach second state. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it to you in time. I gotta heal Michael and he has to heal me. She's on us. No!
Chris, what are you doing? You're swinging. She's definitely gonna come to me, bro.
Bro, you should have gone Dante. I said she was on us. Oh my god.
Oh shit!
I told you she was on us. Bro, he's taking a hit from me. There's no way. What is he do? Bro, okay, yeah, Michael, okay. This dude. What the fuck? Yeah, we lost.
I'm about to go on the second stage, bro.
No!
Dante said. Bro, hey, whoever dies, bro, the other person goes to. I don't even know. She's gonna know, though. You're gonna stick a gen? There's no way.
Yep.
Oh, wait, no, there's someone on hooks now. It's Michael.
Gang, I'll get Michael.
You're getting. Bro, Michael tried to take a hit from me even though he was
so
injured.
Cooked, bro. I'm so cooked.
She on you, Dante?
She was.
She's going back to them. She's going back to you guys. Yo. Are we all just... There's no way.
No.
What is Michael doing? Oh, he got the stun. Blinder. Yeah, be a toxic person. He missed the blind.
Wait, no way he's coming. No way he's bringing it toward me.
Oh, no, she's just... Oh, she's tunneling. Oh, wait, what the fuck? She's tunneling one of you guys. But you guys are all on death stage, though. It doesn't even
Oh,
matter.
she's tunneling me, I think. Yeah, she's on me.
She's tunneling Dante out the game. That's tough, Dante. That's tough.
Bro. Am I gonna be stuck bleeding out like the whole fucking game? I didn't even sit still, but this nigga insists that he gets healed first.
Dante.
Bro, heal me, bro.
I hope he misses a skill check, please.
Okay, just
Bro,
saying,
that's really good.
I have the box near my body, so if you want to get it, you can.
Oh, he's doing. I thought he was gonna sell. Oh my god! Yo! Run! There's no way! There's... Closer, just go away.
I had to crawl toward the shack.
What is this? What
I
the?
don't think I can make it.
Yo! Yeah.
I had to crawl toward the shack.
There's no way. You should have been. Oh my gosh. I think. You think she knows you're about to add on?
Probably.
Yo. She's right next to
You're
me.
cooked.
Oh
You're
my
so
gosh.
Come on, come on.
Yo, go faster!
I can't.
Oh my gosh! Hurry up. It's right there! There's no way! Bro, she's a bitch.
No,
Come
no, please. I'll kill myself, please.
There's no way. You should have pre-crawled. You would have made it. If you didn't recover yourself, bro. That's tough.
Oh.
You got me actually a AR.
You got me actually an AR. What does that mean?
Scarred for you.
What?
Is she on PC?
Huh?
It's a killer on PC.
I don't think so, no, why?
Type fuck you in the chat.
She a lethal pursuer? Damn.
I'm not typing that, bro. I'm not getting banned.
Why not? Alright, I'm putting some toxic shit on, bro. I'm not gonna lie. What's something toxic? Yeah, Dante, you sold that whole game. Dante sold that whole game.
Hey, Dante, low key.
You sold, bro. What?
No, I didn't.
Well, I didn't do
you
nothing.
did,
I was
bro.
helping the whole time. It got me dead.
Chris sold, bro. Chris got me on my freaking second, my
No, I
second line.
didn't. I didn't know you and Mike.
Wait,
I didn't know
dude.
Ryan and Mike were gonna group up together like that.
Bro, he was with us in the beginning. I didn't even know that. We were on the gen and that nigga was just chilling right there. What the fuck?
I didn't know that.
You guys want to put the Beagle's jar?
What is that?
We have
the
all
lock
logs.
shit?
You guys want to do it?
Sure.
Let's do it one time.
No.
I have to do
Wait, put what on?
more.
Actually, wait, no, never mind.
Yes, do it.
Okay.
Put what on? What the
Go to your
fuck are you
offering.
talking about?
Go to your offerings and look for the purple offering that says Beagle's jar of salty lips.
What does that do?
I'm gonna put on Ace's perk as well.
What does that do?
We just luck
What jar?
to unhook ourselves on the first date.
Which one
Yeah.
is Ace? It's Ace in the hole, right?
Ryan, should I do?
Yeah, one more. This is the last one.
Okay. Wait, and then you'll.
I'm gonna get off to you. I'm playing one more and I'm gonna get off.
Yeah.
Alright.
Actually, I'm gonna play one more game of this and I'm gonna play one game of something else and I'm gonna
Why
hop
is
off.
he running so much?
Rainbow.
I mean, we can, but we
That's
can't at
what
the
this
same
is.
time. Didn't you say there was something that was crossplay on there?
What?
I said something that there was like crossplay or something on there. Like,
That's next season.
Which is when?
Like 4 months from now.
that's crazy.
Bro.
Wait, what is the perk on?
I don't know what's the perks called.
How do I look at the survivor? I forgot to do this shit.
I found it. It's called. Wait. Never mind.
Bro, why? How do I look at this nigga's perk? Oh, is it up the ante?
I think
Yeah, it's
so.
called up the ante. It's called up the ante.
What does it look like?
Oh, I'm looking for it. It has like 4 fingers down. It's like a fucking glove from a dice or something. But you don't have up the end, right? So put on slippery meat for your perk then.
Wait, say again?
Put on slippery meat.
Oh, I have up there any.
You're
put it
definitely
on.
this nigga Dante's definitely gonna be able to get off the hook.
Oh, you want me
Well,
to put
it's
on
not-
slippery meat?
Yeah. Try to replace for one perk. I hope we get the chance though. I mean, it works a lot of times, but well, if it doesn't happen this time, I'm gonna fucking kill myself.
Alright.
I'm gonna take off for the people as well and put something else on.
Slippery meat, where is it? Alright. Got it.
Boil
And then
over
the offering increase, right?
Yeah, the Vigo's jar of salty lips.
Alright. Yeah,
I'm
got it.
gonna leave on proof thyself. I'm changing one on the perk.
Should I put decisive strike?
I was thinking of putting that too, but I'm not sure. I don't.
Wait,
I'm
is
gonna put
that the
something
one
else.
where it's like?
It's where you get a second chance that they tunnel you. Fast track. No. I'm gonna take up the end game perks.
Wait, tell Michael to put up the any on,
I think.
cause I want to put on decisive strike. Hold on, the any. Dante, you don't have up to any?
Huh?
You don't have up to any?
No, I don't think so.
Search it up, search it up.
Wait. They don't tell what's it called?
Up the ante, like ant and then with an E.
Michael doesn't have anything. Michael doesn't have anything
Okay,
because this account is
What are we
new.
talking about? Is this like some freaking perk or is this a game?
Yes, a perk, a perk.
Okay, I'm making
Michael,
sure.
Michael's not gonna have no
You
luck.
just said look it
He's
up.
not gonna have anything that gives us luck. He doesn't have anything.
Fuck. He doesn't even have a
No,
Virgo?
it's cause it's a new account. His account.
Oh, yeah.
He just has all this shit progress. He has to grind this shit. Hold on. I'm trying to put on something that can.
Yeah, I don't think I have it because I'm looking through all my
Yeah, so
things.
just,
Yeah, no.
wait. What?
Yeah, I
What
gotta
don't you
put it
have?
on.
What don't you have, Dante?
Up to Annie. Up to Annie. He does not have
Oh
up to
yeah,
Annie.
that's what I'm telling him. Just keep on slippery meat then. I'm trying to figure out what other perk I could use. No, not sprint. Windows of opportunity might go hard. Actually, I might. Fuck. Chat, help me. Chat, please. Someone help me. I'm gonna put on decisive. I'm just gonna put on decisive. Okay. Who's spending their blood points?
It's me.
No.
You hear that shit?
Do you need? I'm gonna probably hop on your shit to like give you those fucking perks again. But I'm
Man, I don't care about no perks. I don't have any perks I need. I already got all the perks I want.
I don't know what perk to use. Like, it's like so much shit that I don't even touch. Whenever you, wait, when? Whether you finish recording with at least one last step. What?
Dante, get your Xbox ready.
Why?
Because we're gonna play one round of Rainbow after this.
Let me see if it's updated.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna turn it down right now because it's gonna make my crap slow.
Fuck, man, fuck. Everyone's scared to play me in this game. I already know.
Come on. Please let me find a match. I can't stop playing this game.
Oh, where's Chemical Trap? Let me put that on, bro.
What is that?
It slows down the killer if he breaks the pallet.
Oh, that's... Oh, yeah, that's like the new
That's
one from the alien.
yeah, I'm gonna use it. I had... Wait, let me read it, hold on. Yeah, after you complete 50% of a total gen, you get it. When the killer performs a break action, they are slowed by 50% for 4 seconds. I'm gonna put that on.
Bro, I low-key don't even want to go to that graduation.
You're gonna have to, though.
I don't want to just sit there for like fucking 5 hours.
I know neither do I, but we have to.
No, we don't.
Your parents, bro. Your parents are gonna want a picture.
Fuck you.
Fuck, I think you can say fuck my parents. I thought you were gonna be like, fuck my mom. No, fuck. Bro, where's Mikey, bro?
He's right there, bro. Is he on the PS4?
Yeah. So this shit's a little bit more slower than ours. Bro, I looked at the screen. Those graphics look so bad, bro.
Hey, Keem, how bad is the damage at your house?
You want me to show you the picture of his backyard? I saved it in the chat.
Yeah. That's so tough. Imagine just buying a house and you have to pay like more money
Dante,
to fix it now.
you leaving Friday, Dante?
Huh?
You're leaving Friday?
What about Friday?
Are you leaving Friday?
Oh, next Friday, yeah.
Or are you going?
Disney.
Oh, nice.
Disney Cruise or Disney?
No, like New Orleans. Not New Orleans. What am I saying? Orlando. Sorry.
Wait, who?
Chris, you and me have
I'm going to
right?
Orlando.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm pretty. Okay, this is not enough, but it should be enough.
That's so tough, Vicky.
It's more 100% if we. Oh, I sent you the video.
Do you know when the power's gonna be back up? Damn, that whole.
Yeah, it looks like the shit from the bayou, right?
Trees go. Your whole background, your whole backyard is gone.
Yo, guys, I'm not gonna lie. I think I realized why that house is so cheap.
Wow.
It's in the storm
so
area.
fucked.
That's why it's in a storm area.
Oh, why are we, bro? This is the map for the no mither shit.
Yeah.
Or is it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yes.
You guys know who the killer is?
No. I'm just scared it's a fucking Michael Myers or something.
Bro, me and Michael are in the killer shack. I just pray he doesn't drop the pallet.
I'm looking at all my surroundings, bro. Oh, it's
So what?
I don't know. I hear the radius though.
Okay, good.
I don't
Bro,
know.
you have no more backyard, bro.
Well, actually has more backyard since the freaking fence blew away.
He came.
Is
he
it
came said he
Trapper?
doesn't even-
Is that the
Dante,
radius I'm
he-
hearing?
I don't know.
Huh?
Hakeem
What happened?
Dante, Hakeem said that he doesn't even know the house.
It's
is
Trapper.
cheap.
Yeah, it's Trapper. It's Trapper.
Wait, if his house is what?
He doesn't even
Oh
know
my
the house is
gosh!
cheap.
No, if it's in an area like that, and his freaking brother bought it and stuff, it's that the area he lives in is full of the cheap houses, bro. I'm
He said
pretty
it
sure
was
it's cheap.
300 to 400,000.
Yeah, that's considered cheap nowadays. You know that, right?
I don't know. 400 is kind of crazy.
No, oh sure, I thought you were talking about. No, it's considered cheap now in days if you want to be in like our area.
Yeah.
I mean, our area is full of houses that are like worth
Oh,
$500,000.
I just juked the fuck out this guy, yo.
I'm pretty sure it's considered
Yo.
cheap. I don't know. I may be wrong. I don't know if his house is cheap or not, but areas typically like that. Not the greatest.
Bro,
And
Michael's
we moved
juking the
here,
fuck out that killer.
Not
I'm
the
good.
He's
greatest.
on your left. He's on your left.
Are they in killer shack? Oh
I
yeah, they
saw
are.
Don't drop the pallet, Michael.
I don't know what he did. He's running to the killer. Wait, is the killer AFK? There's no way, bro. I swear, bro. There's no way I wasted an add-on to a nigga like this.
If he got juked by Michael,
This is, bro. This is so dumb. Why do you say "oh no" like that?
Oh shoot, it's a trapper. It's a trapper.
That's what we said.
that
Trapper,
sucks.
bro.
You can unhug
Trapper,
yourself
bro.
though. It's okay.
No! No! Does Michael have a flashlight? No, he doesn't.
Crawl. Yo. Just take your chances, young blood.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be the first test subject.
Dante, did you finish? Oh no, never mind. You didn't.
Yeah, no,
I'm
you
taking my
got me.
chances.
I'm going to main.
No! No!
One more time. Oh, you got it. You got it. I'm in main.
Get away from me!
Yes, King. I just accidentally rush vaulted.
God, he's
Oh
on
my
me.
gosh. Where are you?
I don't know.
The fuck, nigga? That's the shit I do. I heard that. Ooh. The fuck?
No, he got me. Oh! No!
That's
oh
tough.
my! This guy's such a bitch. No wonder he plays a trapper. He can't fucking. He gets juked all the time.
Yes.
Yup, I can't do it no more.
I got you. Bro. Oh my gosh, he was right there. He's going to him though. Let me heal you, let me heal you.
No, no, hold on, hold on. I can save Michael. Oh.
Where's that nigga at? This nigga is like just leaving the gens. What the fuck? What is he doing? Bro, he's running away from the gens. This nigga's a bot. Bro, wasted his money on his skin. Oh, bro! There's no way!
Help me, Dante. Help me, Dante.
Hey.
Good kid.
This nigga really got trapped.
Yeah, no, now I'm not helping anymore. I'm gonna mess up the next skill check.
Oh, Michael's been camping the gate.
Oh, he's right next to me! What the fuck, Mike? Oh! That was... What is he doing? Get the fuck out of here, nigga. Fuck out of here, little nigga.
Take a hit. I tried taking as much hits as possible. Oh my god.
No way.
Go, go, go! Free rep. Free rep. Free rep. Yo.
Crawl out! Oh my, there's no way! Wait, Michael needs to take his chance. He needs to take his chance. Oh, I gotta stay here. I gotta stay here. Wait, oh.
There's no way he didn't make it, bro.
Yo, he sold. No, he can't. No, you're fucked. Oh.
I ran to Michael. I had to tell him to go take his chance. That's crazy. What the fuck? Run!
Oh my god.
Oh! Oh! There's no way! There's no way! There's no way! Oh my gosh, bro, Michael just carried.
Oh my god. Oh my god, he's teabagging.
Yo!
Oh
What the
No.
Yo! That's insane.
That's crazy.
Holy shit. Yo, what the fuck? Yeah, they suck. This guy sucks, cock.
Bro, Michael Blanco.
He's on PC! Or he's either on Xbox or PC, but... What the fuck? Holy
That guy sucks
shit.
donkey dick.
Michael clutched something like it. I don't even know. That was just... bruh. What?
I was like,
Okay,
not
Sea of
today.
Siege is ready, Dante.
Yeah, good
It's
job.
gonna
Q,
be-
you saw that
Wait,
shit.
what was the last
He
update?
said that. I'm like, that was crazy.
Wait,
it was on
I
stream too,
remember-
Michael. I'm in this. I'm in
Do
my
you not
stream.
remember the last update that we played together?